Pro Army Revenge PAR is par for the course, posted by Sloppy Ice Cream. Dear reader, I had an illustrious 21-year career in the United States Army, USA, which miraculously concluded with an honorable discharge. 21 years and 14 combat deployments produce a lifetime of stories. The overwhelming majority of memories are comical and worth remembering. Like the time I borrowed another human's truck, or the time I relocated an artillery display in my barracks room. However, some memories are extra ammunition after a live fire exercise, LFX, worth donating to Chuck and Barry. Memories suppressed so well they never happened. However, these memories can be unintentionally triggered. I worked at the bad place before attending assessment and selection. Working there was the sole reason for attending selection. The bad place, TBP, was a 3-star command and nursing home for dying careers. TBP was a mixture of National Guard, Army Reserve, active duty, and Department of Army civilians. It was essentially a foreign planet for a soldier who had grown up in regiment and the 82nd Airborne Division. Overnight, I had transitioned from airborne infantry to the equipment tracking officer. It was my sole purpose in life to source pre-deployment training equipment, or PDTE, for deploying National Guard and Army Reserve units. These units would request specific types of equipment, and it was my responsibility to source at least 2/3 of the requested equipment. I should mention, my boss at TBP was Department of the Army Civilian, DAC. I had 10 years of service under my belt, and it was the first time my direct supervisor was a civilian. Now, I have no issues with civilians, but I do have issues with horrible leadership. Mike was horrible. Mike was a dirty diaper full of crap and always on my butt. Side note, I say that I feel the need to mention TBP recently moved. And you say moved? Yes, Deep South one day and the Midwest the next. Aliens? Nope, base realignment and closure, BRAC. Wait, what? The Army decided to close some bases and expand others. You reply with, oh, so what's this have to do with the story? OP says, there was 2 active duty soldiers and 2 Department of the Army civilians performing the duties of equipment tracking officers in the Deep South. None of them moved, and all continuity was lost. You reply with, okay, there had to be some kind of transition though, right? Yes, all 4 of them spent countless hours informing me how terrible a human Mike was via email. Oh, story time again. Dear reader, I had no earthly idea what my job was or how I was to perform it initially. Making matters worse, I would quickly learn that Mike had no earthly idea either. Mike only knew what Z, final product, looked like and was mentally unaware of the other 26 letters in the alphabet. Mike was less useful than a blinker fluid and football bats. Fear not, dear reader, it only took 3 months of working, from 5 o'clock to 2300 hours, to garner a nascent understanding of my roles and responsibilities. That's 11 p.m. Thankfully, I had wonderful counterparts at sister organizations. Furthermore, they were all equally aware of how useful Mike was. Fast forward 4 months. The section was still composed of exactly one sloppy, or me. I was 25% of the total allotted manpower, performing 100% of the duties. If you wait until the last minute, it only takes a minute, was my battle cry. Life was grand. I had developed standard operating procedures, or SOPs, and automated matrices to assist me. I was even starting to catch errors from the department that validates equipment requests. Do note, remember, it was my duty to source 2/3 of the equipment request. I had a very unpleasant one-way conversation in August of 2011. Captain Richard Cranium was requesting that I provide 3 Rhino buses for training. Dear reader, I kindly explained why fulfilling this request was unfeasible. Problem solved, right? Nope. I then received a call from Lieutenant Colonel Richard Cranium. I then received a call from Colonel Richard Cranium. The issue quickly became a self-licking ice cream cone of chaos. Ring, ring, ring. I say, The Bad Place, G4 Equipment Tracking Officer, this is Rank Sloppy speaking. How may I help you, sir, ma'am? Caller says, this is Major General Richard Cranium from the California National Guard. Side note, civilian readers, the Major General is the boss jerkhead for all National Guard soldiers in the state of California. Sloppy or me does not get calls from general officers. Ever. How can I help you, sir? He angrily says, I am calling to inquire as to why you will not fulfill our equipment request. Is it not your policy to provide 2/3? Dear reader, I was now a bit agitated. I had clearly explained the issue to the company commander, battalion commander, and brigade commander. I now have an irate God-level commander on the phone, and 2 courses of action are cycling through my mind. I could kindly explain why this request was absurd, or I could go full Regiment Sloppy. Slot machine Sloppy. Pulls lever. Wheels are spinning and still spinning. Regiment Sloppy. Sir, I clearly explained to the previous commanders why I cannot fulfill their request and provided other options. I don't want options, Rank Sloppy. I want my 3 Rhino buses. With my time to get fired attitude, I said, Roger, sir. Well, as I told the previous commanders, there are only 5 Rhino buses that exist on Earth. 3 of them are deployed to Iraq, and the other 2 are in Afghanistan. Do you wish for me to forward this equipment request to Forces Command, 4-star General? Cranium says, oh, that won't be necessary, Rank Sloppy. I say, are you sure, sir? I mean, I can. No, did you explain all this to... I explained it to every single one of them, sir. He says, disregard, I have some phone calls to make. Dear reader, the world was right again. At least I thought it was. It appears that the Major General was slow to contact his subordinate leadership. The Colonel had contacted Mike demanding that I supply his unit with Rhino buses. One would think that a simple explanation would suffice for Mike, but one would be wrong. Common sense is an elusive, fickle creature for Mike. It was like trying to explain what number the letter purple tastes like. Mike says, did you tell a unit they can't have a piece of equipment? I say, yes, sir. Why? Well, because there are only 5 of them and they are deployed to combat zones? Well, you need to figure out how to get them. Is this man frickin' serious? My brain says, laughing, I think he is. I reply, like, call the Pentagon and ask them to redeploy them from combat because some unit needs to train with them? Mike angrily replies, it's not your job to validate equipment. It's your job to source it. Do you understand? With my lip service, I reply, Roger that, sir. Dear reader, when one door closes, check for an open window. I had over 90 units on my desk and 30,000 pieces of equipment to source for the month of August. It didn't take long to find a window to crawl out of. I found a unique request from an infantry unit. They requested a plethora of equipment and it all made sense, minus 4 pieces of equipment. My brain said, pretty sure those 4 pieces of equipment need to be on a different type of request, right? Yeah, but it's not your job to validate it. Oh, right. Dear reader, I sourced it, all 4 of them. It was not an easy task either. I literally had to scour the entire country for available inventory. I made phone call after phone call to make this request happen. None of the items were collocated. They would need to be transported from the far stretches of the continental United States, and failure was not an option. I had fulfilled my responsibilities. I sourced the equipment and turned it over to Mike for signature. Mike's signature magically allocates funding and authorizes the transportation of said equipment. Dear reader, crap typically rolls downhill. However, this specific request defied the laws of gravity. Crap was going to roll uphill. I crawled back through the window and waited a month for the fallout to ensue. Truth be told, due to my heavy workload, I'd forgotten about my magnificent accomplishment. It was another horrible day at work until I received a magical phone call. Ring, ring, ring. I say, the Bad Place, G4 Equipment Tracking Officer, this is Rank Sloppy speaking. How may I help you, sir, ma'am? Caller says, hello, I am Sergeant First Class Ricky Bobby. I am the Long Range Surveillance Platoon Sergeant for unit name. Hey Ricky, how can I help you? Well, I am looking at 4 helicopters and I am told I need to sign for them. Me, in yes mode, I say, let me look at your request. Shuffling noises ensue. Oh yes, you requested 2 UH-60L Blackhawk helicopters and 2 UH-47 Chinook helicopters, correct? Yes, but I requested them for SPIES, which is Special Purpose Insertion Extraction System, and FRIES, Fast Rope Insertion Extraction System Training. I'm not a pilot. What the heck am I supposed to do with 4 helicopters? I'm laughing back and say, I mean, once you sign for them, they're yours. I suppose you could try to fly them? Him, laughing, replies, frickin' Army, suppose I could. Don't worry, man, I've got your back. I've already coordinated with our aviation validators, and they're going to support your request. I'll give you their number. Ricky Bobby says, I'm ready to copy. It's 8675309. Thanks, man. Call me back if you have any issues, brother. I'll walk upstairs to G3 operations and get this sorted so you boys can do SPIES and FRIES. Wilco, we'll comply, man. Dear reader, not only does crap roll uphill, but crap rolls uphill faster than I expected. I had just hung up the phone and was departing for lunch. I didn't make it 5 feet before I was beckoned to Mike's office. There are 4 chairs in Mike's office, one with a load-bearing capacity of at least 400 pounds, and 4 normal people chairs. I was awkwardly surprised to find that it was already standing room only. The G4 Colonel, Deputy G4, and G3 Colonels were already in Mike's office. Mike says, it seems we have an issue, Rank Sloppy. My brain's like, we? Really, I'm not aware of any issues, sir. Well, unit name is at Fort Hood, and the battalion commander is wondering why one of his platoon sergeants signed for 4 helicopters? I reply shocked. Did they request 4 helicopters? I can go get the equipment request. I have it right here in my hands. I'm puzzled. I'm like, okay, did they request? Yes, they did. I don't understand. The issue is, the G4 Colonel replies, we needlessly ship 4 helicopters across the United States. G3 Colonel chimes in. There are already helicopters at Fort Hood. Helicopters and pilots there to support SPIES and FRIES training. They are there specifically for this type of request. G4 Colonel says, Rank Sloppy, did this request not look odd to you? My brain is laughing hysterically, but I actually say, absolutely, sir. The entire room with shocked faces, just baffled as heck. G4 says, then why did you source it? Then I go back and retell the entire Rhino Bus saga. Sir, as I understand it, it's not my job to validate, it's my job to source it. Mike made it very clear on multiple occasions. Mike angrily says, Rank Sloppy, do you realize that you just cost the Army over $100,000 to ship equipment we didn't need to ship? Sir, G3 chimes in, ticked off, no, Mike, you just cost the Army over $100,000. Sir. Mike, it is your signature that authorizes allocation of money and shipping. Did you tell Rank Sloppy it's his job to source, to not validate anything and just only source? Sir, I did, but G4 Colonel starts walking out. Mike, let's have a meeting in my office. My brain thinks, oh, that sounds bad. But yeah, Mike, not us. And I say, right, and then retreat to my desk. Side note, I know the G3 Colonel. We had worked in the same unit when he was a major. He follows me and sits on my desk. Laughing hysterically says, how in the heck did you do it? I'm like, do what? Find 4 helicopters. I called everyone. I leveraged my network of contacts and made it my mission. What did your counterpart say about the request? They have the same sentiments towards Mike. G3 shaking his head. Honestly, that's impressive. Sir, I was going to get crap on either way, so I decided, screw Mike. G3 replies, yup, screw Mike, I guess. Dear reader, thank you for reading and listening to my petty Army revenge. I have good news. I no longer worked for Mike after that interaction. Other misdeeds stories came to light after that encounter. I had a long desk-side meeting with the G4 Colonel and fully detailed my relationship with Mike. It's nearly impossible to fire Department of the Army civilians, but it was easy to move me. The G3 colonel found a more suitable position for an infantryman. It also sucked, but he gave me ample time to prepare for assessment and selection. I was at TBP for 18 horrible months before I found greener pastures. I could lament on all the horrible things, but it's not worth it. Why? At least I know where to go if I ever need 4 freaking helicopters. Cheers, Sloppy. I don't know what to say other than this is nuclear ProRevenge, because he stuck to the book malicious compliantly, just destroyed Mike figuratively by moving himself over, and just completely just set the stage for chaos, and it worked. Way to freaking go, OP. I salute you, dude. I salute you. I ruined this insane army woman's life. She's 19 and thought she owned the place. Click the next video on your screen here to watch that, and don't miss out now and subscribe for more stories. Thank you for watching.